So we are live. Namaskar. Welcome to Jairangam 2021 storytelling session, A War at VIRATA by V Balakrishnan. V Balakrishnan, an alumnus of Sri Ram Center for Performing Arts in the National School of Drama, is the founder and artistic director of Theatre Nisha that has staged over 120 plays in the past 21 years in over 15 international, national, and regional theatre festivals. In his career as a theatre artist, he has directed over 200 plays, acted in over 150 plays, and written over 10 scripts. We welcome you, sir. Welcome, sir.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Jaya. So the Mahabharata in the form that we know today is quite different from the form as it initially existed. So right at the onset, there was this book called Jaya, which had around 8,800 shlokas. Later, as more stories got added to it, it grew in size, and now it was known as the Bharata, and it had more than 24,000 shlokas. But finally, with time, the epic grew in number and it became more than 90,000 shlokas, almost between 85,000 to 90,000 shlokas. And now it was known as the Mahabharatam. So today we are going to talk a little about the fourth Parvan or the fourth book of the Mahabharata, which is the Virata Parvan. And this happens directly after the Aranyaka Parvan or the Vana Parvan. So what has happened is that the Pandavas have been in exile and they have spent 12 years, and now they have to spend the 13th year incognito in disguise. And just before this incident, what has happened is that the Pandavas have encountered Dharma. They have encountered Dharma, who in the form of a yaksha has asked them lots of riddles, and they have passed with flying colors, and he has granted them a boon that their period of exile will go without any issues. And now the Pandavas are sitting in the forest and trying to figure out which city of Bharata Varsha should they hide in. And all the brothers and Draupadi are giving their ideas. And finally, they decide that let us hide in the country of Matsya, because the people of Matsya are related to the Pandavas by a long distance bloodline. And the king Virata is supposed to be a good king. So now that they have decided that they will hide in this kingdom, they are trying to figure out what kind of disguises should they use, because otherwise they are all so recognizable all over the country. And at first Yudhishthira says that I think I am going to disguise myself as a priest. I will call myself as Kanka, and I will play dice with the king because I'm an expert at dice. I will give him advice. I will kind of become like, his advisor and minister. At this point, I am sure all of you are thinking, how is it that Yudhishthira has suddenly become an expert at dice after having literally lost everything in the game of dice to his own cousins? The secret is that when he was in the forest, he had a chance encounter with a sage called Brihadashva, who taught him all the secrets of permutation and combination. And now Yudhishthira is an expert at the game of dice. So once Yudhishthira has spoken, Bhima opens up and he says, all my life I have been so excited with the culinary talents. So why don't I disguise myself as a cook? I will call myself as Vallabha. And not only that, I'm also a very good wrestler. So I will offer my services to the king so that, in his arena, I can fight other wrestlers or with animals and entertain them. And nobody will be the wiser that who I am. And that seems good to all the brothers. And then they turn towards Arjuna and ask him, what is it that you will do? You whose arms are scarred, with the marks of the bowstring, how are you going to hide yourself? What guise will you take? And Arjuna says, I will take the guise of a person of the neuter gender. And this is where The curse of Mother Urvashi will help me. So I will tell stories and teach dance and teach music to all the young girls of Virata's palace. And I will go under the name of Brihannala. After this, Yudhishthira turns to Nakula and asks him, what will you go disguised as? And he says that I love horses. So what I will do is I will tell the king that I am an expert horse person. I can take care of all his horses, and I will call myself as Tantipala. And finally, Sahadeva says that I love cows. So let me go to the king and tell him that I will take care of his cows. I will be in charge of the milk yield. I will make sure that all the cows are healthy. And I think I am going to call myself as Tantripala. No, Tantripala was the name of Nakula. Sahadeva decides to call himself as Dharmagranthi. And finally, they turn to Draupadi. They ask Draupadi, what is the name by which you would like to be known? What is the service that you will render in the court of Virata? She says, I will offer my services as a hairdresser. The clan of the Sairandharis. I will go as a hairdresser, offer my services to Queen Sudeshna, who is the wife of King Virata, and I will take on the name of Malini. So having decided that what each one of them wants to do, they decide now to proceed to the kingdom of Virata. But all of them are laden with weapons. The bow of Arjuna, Gandiva, is world famous. So what are they going to do with all of this? As they are going into the kingdom of Virata, disguised as hunters, they come across a crematorium where there is a huge shami tree. And Arjuna says, let us hide our weapons on this shami tree. We will wrap our weapons in cloth, tie it up like a shroud, and put it up. People will think it is like a corpse or something, and nobody will come there. And what they do is, they manage to get a real corpse, which they tie next to the weapons, so that the smell, the stink, will keep people off. And if anyone asked them when they were doing this, like, what is happening, then they said that, oh, this is our mother who is 108 years old and who passed away. And this is the way we cremate and bury and take care of our dead. So we are going to tie them up on the tree. So having done this, all the brothers and Draupadi proceed towards the kingdom of Matsya. But they do not enter together because that would be highly conspicuous, because it's 5 plus 1 woman. And Duryodhana's spies are all around trying to find out where the Pandavas are hiding. Because this is the deal they made, right? If the Pandavas are spotted in the 13th year of exile, the year where they have to be incognito, then they have to spend 12 more years in exile. So first, Dharmaputra goes into the kingdom disguised as Kanka. He goes and meets the king, and he finds a job as his advisor. The king is very happy to welcome Kanka, who looks so richly and so wise, and he is absolutely sure that this person is going to be a great asset to me. So once Kanka has settled with the king, after an interval of few more days, maybe a week, Bhima goes in under the guise of the cook Vallava. And there he walks into the kingdom holding a ladle in one hand and a naked sword. And people are looking at this gargantuan person and wondering, who is this? And he goes to meet the king and offers his services as a cook and as a wrestler. The king is very excited to see this brave, strong man, and he appoints him also. So let us also understand here that there is some kind of a subterfuge practiced by the Pandavas in sending Yudhishthira first to become a close aide of the king, so that the other Pandavas are able to find employment much easily. And next comes in Draupadi, disguised as Malini. She is walking through the streets, muttering things to herself, and people are all bewildered. who is this beautiful looking woman clad in a single cloth going around? And she goes near Sudeshana's palace. Sudeshana spots her, calls her in, and asks her, "Who are you? And why are you wandering these streets?" And Draupadi tells her that my name is Malini. I used to be the hairdresser of Queen Satyabhama, the wife of Krishna, and I have also served Draupadi. I am looking for some work. Now, Sudeshana says, "You look so beautiful. What if my own husband Virata looks at you and gets besotted? That would be very dangerous. I don't know whether I should keep you in my palace or not." And Malini says, "No, queen, you have no worries, because I have 5 Gandharva husbands. I am married and they protect me. So no man will ever be able to mess with me in any way. So you don't worry. All that I want is that you give me employment with you. I should not be asked to wash anyone's feet, and I will not eat food that has been eaten by someone else. Apart from this, I'm very happy to serve you hairdressing, pounding perfumes and unguents. All of that I'm ready to do." So Sudeshana also accepts Malini in her palace as a Sairandhari. Next comes in Nakula. Nakula comes in, and what he does is he goes near the king's table and he's standing there quietly. And when the king is out there on his round, he spots this handsome youth and asks him, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And Nakula gives the same spiel that I used to work as a horse person for the Pandavas, and now that they have gone missing, we don't know where they are, so I'm out of job. I'm very good with horses, so please can you give me this work? And the king says, "All right," and he appoints Nakula as his horse person. Next comes in Brihannala. Arjuna disguised as Brihannala. And his is the most difficult task, because he goes to the king and says, "I am very good with music and dance, and I wish to teach your daughter Uttara and other people in the palace. So please accept me." But Virata is not very certain whether he should take this person who looks like a man, also looks like a woman, whether it is safe to allow him into the female quarters. So he has him checked by the other women in the palace. And once they have made sure that Brihanala does belong to the neuter gender and that he is an expert at dance and music, he is appointed to teach in Uttara's dance palace. So there he teaches Uttara and all the other young girls of Virata's family. So all the Pandavas except Sahadeva have got settled. Sahadeva comes in after some more time has passed, and he meets the king and gets a job as the cow herdsman. So all the Pandavas settle down happily and they're continuing with their work. There is nothing to disturb them. They are doing what they like quite a bit, and things are passing smoothly. One day, almost at the end of 10 months of their exile, there is a huge wrestling match in Virata in which Ballava, our Bhima, he is called to fight a wrestler whose name is Jimuta. And Bhima defeats Jimuta, by which the king understands that this Vallava is not only a cook, but he seems to be a very good fighter also, and possibly later can be used if there is any conflict, etc. And so 10 months have passed. The Pandavas now have only 2 more months to go, after which they can march into Hastinapura and demand their kingdom back. But things are not always this easy, right? Destiny always has its own plans. And what happens there is that the king's charioteer, who is also Sudeshana's brother, and right now the commander-in-chief of Virata's army, a man known as Kichaka, one day spots Sairandhari in Sudeshana's palace. He looks at her and he is besotted. He feels he has never seen a more beautiful woman in his life. And he is arrogant. He is vile. He goes directly to Draupadi and says that, I will leave all my wives for you. You marry me. I will give you 1,000 gold coins. I'll give you a palace. I will give you servants. But you marry me. And Draupadi is very angry and she tells him, Kichaka, You seem to be a very strong, well-loved person in this kingdom. So let me just request you, stay away from me. Do not talk like this to me because I have 5 Gandharva husbands. And if they know that I have been wrongly behaved with by somebody, they will kill you. So please stay away from me. Do not court death like an insect that runs towards the fire. And Kichaka laughs and he says, what Gandharvas or Devas? Anyone comes, I will defeat them. There is no one in the entire Bharatavarsha who can stand up to me in battle. And he tells her, listen, I will give you some time to make up your mind. But Draupadi is very angry and she walks away from there. But Kichaka is absolutely besotted with her. He cannot stop thinking of her. So he goes to his sister, the queen Sudeshana, and he goes and tells her, see, sister, I love this maid of yours, this Sairandhari, who is known as Malini. I want to wed her, send her to me. And Sudeshana says, don't be stupid. She's a married woman. She's telling you she has 5 husbands. What's wrong with you? Why do you want to go after a woman who is saying no to you? And Kichaka tells his sister, if you do not agree to this, I will commit suicide. Now we know all sisters love their brothers. So Sudeshana is also very confused. She thinks maybe Draupadi, given a chance, might agree to Kichaka. After all, her brother is the most handsome man in all the universe, etc. So she makes a plan. She tells Kichaka that you buy a lot of fancy, rich wine and keep it in your palace. I will send Malini there to fetch it. And when she comes there to fetch it, you talk to her. You talk of your love, etc. And, you serenade her and see what happens. So Kichaka says, all right, hey, that sounds like a plan. And he organizes the best wine in the country. He decks his bedroom up and he's all ready and set. Sudeshana calls Malini and tells her, go to Kichaka and get me some of the new wine that he has got. And Malini says, Queen, you know how he looks at me and how he behaves towards me. Why are you asking me to do this? This is wrong. You know what will happen if I go there and you, a woman, is it okay for you to send another woman to this predicament? And Sudeshana says, no, you should not talk badly of my brother. He will never behave in a brutish way towards you. So please go and get me that wine and come and, do the job that you are here for. Malini is scared. She is worried. And she prays to the sun god. Sun god who helped her with the Akshaya Patra earlier in the Vana Parva. She prays to the sun god. And the sun god promises to take care of her. And he appoints a celestial being in invisible form to hover around her and protect her if she comes to any harm. And Draupadi walks into Kichaka's chamber and says, the queen has sent me here for some wine. And Kichaka says, oh, forget the queen. You come here and sit with me on this bed and let's both enjoy this honeyed wine and talk of poetry and love. And Draupadi says, Kichaka, I have already warned you and told you not to behave with me like this. Enough is enough. Either give me the wine or I'm leaving. And Kichaka gets angry. He tells Draupadi, I have been talking to you like a love-struck person and you have been rejecting me all the while. Now you are going to see the other side of me. You forget that I am the commander-in-chief of Virata's army. I am a warrior. I can take you by force if I want. And he tries to hold Draupadi by her hair. Yes, Draupadi is once again held by her hair like Dushasana held her in the Dyuta Sabha. Draupadi runs from there. Kichaka follows her. Draupadi runs through the stables, through the palace. She finally reaches Virata's palace where there is a council meeting taking place. She runs in and she tells Virata that, please, save me from this person. He is molesting me. Please do something. You are the king. And Virata is still looking around when Kichaka comes in and he kicks Draupadi. He kicks Draupadi and he again rushes towards Draupadi when the celestial being sent by Surya manages to throw Kichaka to the ground and makes him faint. Draupadi gets up. She's crying. She looks at the Sabha where, Bhima is sitting there. Yudhishthira is sitting there as Kanka and Vallava, and she is begging the king to do something, but he's scared because Kichaka is so strong. Kichaka is the commander-in-chief, and Yudhishthira is really worried. What if Draupadi says something because of which their disguise gets unraveled? So he tells Draupadi in a language which she can understand that don't create a scene here, go away. When the time comes, things will become all right. Draupadi is very angry and she rushes away from there. And that night, she goes to meet Bhima, our Vallava, who sleeps in the kitchen. She goes to Bhima and she wakes him up. But before she wakes him up, the first thing she does there is she goes there and she lies next to him and she puts her arms around him. And then, when Bhima is aroused from sleep, she talks to him in a very sweet voice. She tells him, Bhima, see, see me, your wife, the daughter of Drupada. I was insulted by Dushasana and you brothers did nothing. In the forest, I was attacked by Jayadratha and I had to suffer all the insults before you could rescue me. And today, Kichaka has insulted me in front of the entire city, in front of the council of ministers, in front of the king, and nobody is ready to do anything when all 5 of you, my husbands, are present right here. I can't live like this. If Kichaka is not killed, Bhima, I promise you, I will cut my wrists, I will kill myself. And Bhima says, enough. Please don't utter one more word. The only reason I have been staying quiet till now is because of my elder brother. But this is something that I cannot tolerate. I will kill Kichaka. Draupadi says, but Bhima, listen. We need to plan it in a way that things don't get ruptured. You know, our period of exile also has to finish properly. So Bhima says, all right, listen to me. In the dancing hall, there is a bed which possibly is used for their drama purpose, and it is fixed to the ground. It does not move. Ask Kichaka to meet you there tonight. And when he comes, I will meet him in your guise and I will kill Kichaka. Draupadi is very excited to hear this. She goes to Kichaka and tells him, okay, you know, you have behaved rudely towards me, but maybe there is a possibility somewhere that you are feeling some real love for me. But if my Gandharva husbands come to know of this, then it will be a disaster. So we will do this. Tonight, Kichaka, come to meet me in the dance hall of Matsya. I will wait for you there. And there, let's meet and talk of love. And Kichaka is very happy because what he wanted, that objective has been achieved. He's so excited. He's not able to do anything till the end of night. And at midnight, he decks himself with flowers and perfumes, and he drinks a lot of expensive wines, and he marches like an celestial being, like a lion in a forest. He marches into the dancing hall of Matsya. He goes into the dark room and he can find out that there is a figure sitting on the bed. So he goes there, you know, all filled with love. He goes and he places a hand on the shoulder of that being. But instead of the beautiful, soft, dainty shoulders of Draupadi, it is an iron-clad shoulder that meets his grasp. And Bhima turns around and grasps him in his hand. But Kichaka is no ordinary person. He's a great wrestler, a great fighter. And he fights with Bhima. And like 2 elephants in rut fighting in the forest, both these warriors are landing punches on each other. They are fighting to the very frontiers of their life. They are clawing at each other. But Kichaka has a disadvantage. One, he has drunk a lot of wine. Secondly, he came here thinking of love, not of a fight. And Bhima was sitting here right from the start with only revenge in his mind. And it is not a great matter of time before Bhima kills Kichaka. Kichaka is slain, and then Bhima calls Draupadi in and shows her the dead body of Kichaka. And he says, I need to send out a warning to every man out there who tries to impinge on the personal space of a woman. I need to send a message to every man out there who thinks he can behave badly with a woman. And he punches Kichaka's body till it resembles a ball of flesh. Where is the neck? Where is the hand? Where is the leg? Nothing can be seen. And Bhima runs away by another way and goes to the kitchen where he takes a bath and goes to sleep as if he knows nothing about what has happened. Draupadi, our Malini, rushes to the guards and tells them that my Gandharva husbands have killed Kichaka because he tried to molest me. Please go and tell the king about what has happened. And everyone comes rushing there and they see this ball of flesh which has got no beginning and no end. And Virata is very scared. He's very scared that this has happened. The most powerful warrior of his kingdom is lying in this state. Sudeshana calls Draupadi and says, see, my brother behaved badly with you because of which he has been punished, but I am sorry. I cannot keep you in my palace anymore. So Malini, take your skills at hairdressing and whatever and go out of here. Malini says, Queen, so many days you have given me your company, your love, the luxury of your house. I request, give me 13 days more. That's all I ask for. Draupadi, by her calculation, believes 13 more days are left for the exile to get over. So Sudeshana agrees because somewhere she's scared of this person also. But what has happened meanwhile is Kichaka's brothers, known as the Upakichakas, who are 105 in number. So they are almost 5 more than the Kauravas. 105 in number. They decide that this woman, because of whom their brother has died, should not be left alive. So they tie up Draupadi. They tie up Draupadi on a ladder and carry her into the crematorium to burn with the body of Kichaka. When Bhima hears this, he rushes into the crematorium, he uproots a tree, and he manages to vanquish and destroy all the brothers. And just like the way he came in, he runs away from there. And all that people know is that some being came super fast into this ground, they killed all these brothers and went away. Everyone now knows that Draupadi is somebody not to be messed with. The king is very scared at all that has happened because his kingdom is right now in shambles. The commander-in-chief of the army has been killed. So while they are trying to kind of reorganize everything, etc., what has happened is the spies that Duryodhana had sent all over Bharatavarsha have reached his court. And while here at Virata, the Pandavas are counting the last 13, 14 days before the exile is going to get over, there in Duryodhana's court, the spies reach and tell Duryodhana that, King, I am sorry, but we have absolutely no news of the Pandavas. We don't know whether the earth swallowed them or the sky has devoured them. We can't find them. Some more spies come and say that, King, our honest opinion is that the Pandavas have been eaten by wild animals and they don't exist anymore. Either way, you don't have to worry about them at all. And as the spies are telling Duryodhana what they believe is some good news, one of the spies spots Susarma, the king of the Trigartas, sitting there. And he tells Susarma and Duryodhana that there might be one happy news for you, king of the Trigartas. Dear Susarma, your arch enemy Kichaka has been killed. Apparently, he was killed in the night by some people who went missing, and they are saying that some Gandharvas have killed him. But either way, Virata's kingdom is right now unprotected. Susarma stands up and tells Duryodhana, Duryodhana, Virata's kingdom has got the best cows in the entire kingdom, and they number more than 10 lakhs. I have an idea. Let us all go and attack the kingdom of Matsya, defeat Virata, and we will share all the villages, towns, gold, silver, all the cows equally among ourselves and come back happy. It will be a good adventure. What do you say? And Duryodhana, who has been under a lot of stress and tension regarding the Pandavas, feels, yeah, this might be like a good adventure. So he asks Bhishma, Drona and all, what should we do? Bhishma and Drona say, see, don't try to keep finding the Pandavas. Let the Pandavas reveal themselves as and when it occurs. And when that happens, give them back their kingdom. Duryodhana says, that idea I have totally let go of. I am not returning their kingdom. Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, all of them try to tell Duryodhana that Do not think badly of the Pandavas. They did what you asked them. 12 years are over. 13th year is going to get over. Wherever they are, they will come back. At that time, make peace. But Duryodhana says, no. And that is not for us to think about now. Right now, let us attack the kingdom of Matsya and bring back all that money and riches for ourselves. Susarma of Trigata at this point has an idea. He says, Duryodhana, let me go first. Let me go first and attack from the southern side. As soon as I attack from the southern side, obviously Virata will come out with his army to defend his kingdom. Give it one day, you attack from the northern side and take all the cows away. No way Virata will be able to defend his kingdom on two fronts. What do you say? Duryodhana says, hey, this seems like a good idea. Let's do it. So on a very auspicious day, when the moon is still in the Krishna Paksha, Susarma, along with the Trigartas, leaves for the frontiers of Matsya and attacks the kingdom of Virata. As soon as news reaches the court of Virata that Susarma has attacked, immediately Virata gets up and along with his younger brothers, Shataniks, Madiraksha, Suryadatta, Sankasha, and his son Shweta, they decide to go for war. And as they're about to rush, Kanka comes running to him and says, King, myself, Vallava, and Arishtanemi, and Tantripala, all of us, Dharma Granthi, all of us, we are good warriors. Why don't you take us along with you? The king for a second thinks, courtier, cook, cowherdsman, horseman, should I take them to the war? But then he has always been impressed by these people. So he says, all right, you also come to war. And all of them rush to meet Susarma on the plains of Matsya. The war takes place. It's a ferocious war because Susarma has this long time enmity against Virata and he really wants to take all the wealth away because Kichaka time and again has defeated the Trigatas, taken their money, insulted them. So there is a very genuine anger also inside him. The war is happening and at one point, Virata is captured by Susarma. He's captured, he's pulled into Susarma's chariot, and Susarma is speeding away with him when Kanka, Yudhishthira, turns to Vallava, Bhima, and tells him, Vallava, go and rescue the king. But you know, our Bhima is Bhima. So immediately he searches for a huge tree to uproot and throw at his enemies. And Yudhishthira says, brother, no, don't do all this. Fight with some common weapons like a bow or a sword or something. Go rescue him quickly and come back. So Bhima goes chasing Susarma. And although we all know that Arjuna is a great warrior, Bhima and an archer, Bhima was also a great archer, not just a Gadadhari. So Bhima is now running after Susarma and shooting arrows at him. He defeats Susarma. He frees Virata. He pulls Susarma by the hair of his head, brings him in front of Kanka and Virata and asks them, what do you think should be done with him? Virata looks at Kanka and Kanka says, King, he has been defeated. Let there be no more bloodshed today. So Virata says, all right, free him. Let Susarma go away. And he takes a promise of Susarma. Don't once again come with these evil designs and ideas towards my kingdom. And Susarma, in humiliation, along with his other brothers and the rest of his Trigarta army, goes away from there. Virata is excited. And the warriors, they have this some kind of a norm. When you have won the battle, that night is to be spent on the battlefield. That is what the Pandavas will also do once they defeat the Kauravas at Kurukshetra. So same way Virata, Kanka, Vallava, Dharma Granthi, Tantripal, all of them decide to stay on the battleground that day. And they are all resting, relaxing, having their wine, cracking jokes, singing song. But by then, Duryodhana, along with the Kuru contingent, has attacked Matsya from the other side. And with Duryodhana are all the great warriors, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Karna, every one of them, Dushasana, Durmukha, Vikarna, Ashwathama, all of them together. And there they are standing and they have started stealing the cows. And the cowherds go running to Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar, the youngest son of Virata, who has been left in the city to take care of things. And he is a very young boy. So the cowherd goes running into the dancing hall where Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar is sitting with all the other girls and telling them stories of his great valor and bravery, as young boys like to do. The cowherd rushes in and tells him, Prince, save us. The Kurus led by Duryodhana have attacked us and they are stealing away our cows. You need to do something. And Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar is surrounded by so many girls and he wants to, act a little brave and all. He stands up and says, oh my God, my father has left with all the army to the other side. I alone am left here. Of course, I alone and more than enough for the Kuru family. I will, kill Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, everyone like this. But unfortunately, 2 months ago, my charioteer was, killed in a battle, another great battle which I fought. So I don't have a charioteer. So how do I go to battle? Otherwise, if I go to battle, people will not even know whether it is Bhuminjay fighting or Arjuna fighting. And Brihannala is listening to all of this. So Brihannala quietly goes to Malini and tells Malini, why don't you tell the prince that Brihannala is a good charioteer? Malini understands what Brihannala is saying and she goes to Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar and tells him that, don't worry, Prince, there is a great charioteer in our midst. And Uttar Kumar asks, who? Who is this charioteer? And Malini says, Brihannala. Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar laughs and says, Malini, I am not talking about organizing a dance party or a music fest. This is war. What will Brihannala do in war? Malini says, Prince, you don't know. But Brihannala was the charioteer of Arjuna when Arjuna burned down the Pandava forest. So please take him along with you to war and you will win. Now Uttara has spoken all these words in front of all the girls. There is no way he can go back. So he says, all right, I will do it. At this time, his sister, Uttara, she comes to Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar and says, brother, after you have defeated all the Kurus, I want all their top cloth to be used as dresses for my dolls. And Bhuminjay says, of course, once I have defeated them, I'll get all of it and come. So Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar ascends the chariot, which is being driven by Brihannala, and they proceed towards the war front. As they are going, Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar is very excited and is telling, Brihannala, oh, Brihannala, I think I will fight with Bhishma first. And then I think I'm going to attack Drona. What do you think is the better plan? And Brihannala is smiling, laughing, and taking him right close to the battlefield. And suddenly, as they cross a hillock, Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar, for the first time in his life, sees the might of the Kuru army. As he sees that army which is stretching from this to that point, almost a mile long, he gets very scared. He tells Brihannala that please turn the chariot around and let's go back to our kingdom. How will I alone fight all these great warriors? And Brihannala says, Prince, in front of your sister Uttara and everyone else, you just now said that you're going to defeat all of them. And you are a Kshatriya. How can you go back? You can't do that. You have to fight. Bhuminjay says, Brihannala, understand what I am saying. Let us go back. I'll give you money. I'll give you a few villages, but let's run away. And Brihannala says, no, Prince. That cannot be done because Naisha Shuraihi Smrito Dharmaha Kshatriyasya Palayanam Shreyastu Maranam Yuddhena Bhitasya Palayanam. To fly is not the practice of the Kshatriya or the brave. For the Kshatriya, it is far more honorable to die on the battlefield. The same doubt after a few more months, Arjuna will have on the battlefield, and it will be Krishna who will be giving him words of support. But today, it is Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar who is facing this despondency, and it is our own Arjuna disguised as Brihannala who is giving him these words of wisdom. And he says, do not be scared, Prince. You fight. I am your charioteer. What is the worst that can happen? That we will die on this battlefield? So big deal. That's what a Kshatriya is born for. But Bhuminjay is like, thank you very much, Brihannala. I am not listening to all this. He jumps from the chariot and starts running. Brihannala leaves the reins of the horse and starts running behind him. And there at that long distance, the Kuru army is looking at this funny sight. They are seeing a warrior who has jumped from a chariot and is making a run for it. And behind him, they see a person who appears to be of the neuter gender with hair flaying all over running behind him. And all the soldiers are laughing at this sight. And Drona suddenly says, I have a feeling that I recognize that person who is running behind Bhuminjay. Where have I seen this person before? Duryodhana, Dushasana are saying, what are you saying, Acharya? That seems to be a person of the neuter gender. Where did you meet him? And Drona says, no, that is not a person of the neuter gender. Duryodhana, be warned. Armies, be on the alert. That is no one but Arjuna. And Karna says, come on, Acharya, you have grown so old. Wherever you see, you can see only Arjuna. Okay, let it be Arjuna. So what? If it is Arjuna, he will die after 10 arrows. If it is not Arjuna, but some charioteer, he will die with one arrow. We will find it out. And the Kurus start discussing, who is this? What is happening? Some of them are laughing, jeering. But by that time, Brihanala has caught Bhuminjay. And Brihanala asks Bhuminjay to stop and tells Bhuminjay, okay, today you don't want to fight in this battle, right? But you cannot show your back and run away. Do this, Bhuminjay. You be the charioteer, I will fight. Bhuminjay looks at Brihanala and says, what? You will fight. How can you fight? You are a part from the neuter gender. And Brihanala looks at him and says, no, prince. I am not a person of the neuter gender, although I may be disguised like that. Let me tell you. Take the chariot towards that Shami tree near the crematorium. And Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar takes the chariot towards the Shami tree. Then Brihanala tells him, climb the tree and bring down that corpse shrouded in white there. Bring it down. Bhuminjay says, you are making me a prince. Bring down something which is not pure, which is vile. Why are you asking me to do this? Brihanala says, that is not a corpse, prince. Bring it down. So Bhuminjay goes up, brings down this huge shroud, keeps it down. He opens it. He opens it and his eyes are bedazzled by the splendor of the weapons there. And he asks Brihanala, whose weapons are these? Brihanala says, these are the weapons of the 5 Pandava brothers. And Bhuminjay says, that bow there, that looks so huge, so tall, so heavy, I don't think even 100 men can lift it. Whose bow is that? What bow is that? Brihanala says, that is the Gandiva. It was owned by Brahma for 1,000 years. Then Prajapati had it for 503 years. After that, Indra had it for 580 years. And then it came to Varuna for 100 years. And finally, it has come to me because I am Arjuna. Bhuminjay is shaking. He is quivering. He says, Brihanala, if you are Arjuna's, where are the other Pandavas? And Brihanala tells him, listen, prince, your father's courtier Kanka is Yudhishthira. That famous cook and wrestler in your kitchen, Vallava, is Bhima. And Tantripala and Dharmagranthi are Nakula and Sahadeva. And Malini is Draupadi, who was working as a Sairandhari for whom Kichaka was killed. And for the last 1 year, we have been hiding in your kingdom and you have supported us with your love. So don't worry, Bhuminjay, I will fight this war for you. Bhuminjay says, wait. If you are who you say you are, if you are Arjuna, I need you to first tell me the 10 names by which Arjuna is known. If you tell me these 10 names, then I'm ready to accept that, yes, you are Arjuna. So Arjuna smiles at him and tells him, Ekagra manaso bhutva shrunu sarvam samahitaha Arjunaha Falguno Jishnuhu Kiriti Shvetavahana Bibhatsur Vijaya Krishna Sabyasachi Dhananjaya. He tells him these 10 names, and Bhuminjay, of course, knows that the person standing in front of him is Arjuna. And he tells him, all right, you have told me your 10 names, but can you also tell me the meaning of these 10 names? And Arjuna says, sure, why not? Let me tell you the meaning of these 10 names by which I am known. I am known as Arjuna because I am of a rare complexion, and also because I was born under the Arjuna tree. I am known as Krishna because I am dark. I am known as Kiritin because my father Indra placed a crown on top of my head. I am known as Shvetavahana because my horses are white. I am known as Sabyasachi because I am ambidextrous. I am known as Bhivatsu because I have never done a repugnant deed on the battlefield. I am known as Jishnu because I always win. I am also known as Dhananjaya because I have accumulated so much wealth. I am known as Vijaya because I never lose. He gives him the meaning of all his 10 names. And Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar says, I am not afraid now. Like Matali drives Indra's chariot and Daruka drives Krishna's chariot, oh Arjuna, I will drive your chariot. Let's go and fight. And he sits on the charioteer's seat. Arjuna gets onto the chariot. He takes the bow Gandiva and he blows his famous conch. And as soon as the sound of Devadatta is heard, immediately the Kurus know that it is Arjuna. And Duryodhana laughs. He says, Arjuna seems to have revealed himself before the period of exile is over, so they have to go back. So tell me, Pitama, Bhishma, what do we do? We fight him, or do we ask him to just go back right now to another exile? Bhishma says, my dear son, you are wrong. There is not much of mathematics that you have learned, so let me just clarify it for you. Every 5 years, because of the movement of the sun and the moon and the nakshatras, every year gains 2 months, 5 months, and 2 days. And because of which, at the end of this period, the Pandavas have actually done already more than 5.5 months of their exile. So they are well in the clear. They have completed their conditions properly. But Duryodhana, Arjuna is not standing there to talk to you and me. He is standing there to fight. And this is war. So we have to fight. So shall we do that? And Duryodhana says, fine. I mean, Pitama, you are the general of our army. So why don't you decide how things need to be done? So Bhishma says, all right, Karna, you will be in the front. Drona in the center. Ashwathama to the left of Drona. And we will have Kripa to the right of Drona. And I will be at the back. We will create this formation with half the army. Half the army will take the cows and go towards Hastinapura. The other half will stay only for protecting Duryodhana. Because if the king gets killed, everything is over. And with this formation ready, Arjuna, at first, he shoots 3 arrows. 1 at the feet of Drona and 2 which whistle past his ear. And Drona is teary now because his student has introduced himself by touching his feet and then by whispering his introduction in his ears. And getting this warrior's welcome, Drona is so happy and excited. But this is going to be the first time that Drona is going to fight with Arjuna. This is a war that they have always feared, but has never happened. But right at the front is Karna, who all his life has been saying he is better than Arjuna. And the war starts. At first, Arjuna directly encounters and confronts Karna. And a terrible battle happens between both, in which Karna's younger brother is killed by Arjuna. If you are wondering who are these younger brothers of Karna, they are the other sons of Athirata and Radha who fight alongside Karna. Some of them will also come in the battle of Kurukshetra. He kills the brother of Karna, and Karna gets very angry. A huge fight is happening between both of them, and seeing that Karna is getting the raw deal of this fight, Vikarna and the other brothers like Jaya and Chitrasena, all of them come there and help Karna to fight. But Arjuna is so angry. He is fighting the battle he has been waiting for all his life. And Arjuna and Karna, they fight fiercely. But at one point, Karna has to run away from the battlefield because he has been hurt so badly by the arrows of Arjuna. Yes, Karna runs away from his first encounter with Arjuna. And many of us might wonder, why did this happen? This Karna, who has always been so boastful and proud and so sure of his skills, why is he getting defeated? Because there's a little story which some of us may know, some of us may not know. I'm sure you all know that Indra, in the guise of a priest, come and takes away Karna's armor and his divine earrings. But maybe what we don't know is that incident happened just a few months before this war encounter. So Karna is fresh, having torn that armor away from his body. So right now when he is fighting, his body is not healed. And he is fighting without his actual natural armor. So the fact that he got the worst of his deal is something to have been expected, but not something Karna is going to ever talk about, because that is the kind of a person, a magnanimous person that he is. Once Karna is thrown out of the way, Arjuna attacks Drona and Dushasana. He defeats them, he moves towards Kripa, he makes Kripa fall from his chariot. Once again, Arjuna meets Drona. But every time Arjuna comes in front of Drona, Arjuna tells Drona, I will not strike the first arrow at my teacher. If you attack me, I will retaliate. That's all. It will never be said that Arjuna attacked his teacher. And he would wait till the first arrow came towards him. And there was a point when he had defeated all of them, but one warrior on the side of the Kauravas stood up to Arjuna that day as an equal, and that was Drona's son Ashwathama. Ashwathama distracted Arjuna away from his father and fought him fiercely. He cut the bowstring of the Gandiva many times, but at one point his quivers became empty of arrows and he had to turn back to get more weapons and arsenals. Karna attacked again, but this time also he was wounded badly and had to leave the battlefield. Dushasana, Vikarna, all the brothers of Duryodhana were defeated one by one. Finally, Bhishma attacked Arjuna, but Arjuna made Bhishma senseless and run away from the battlefield. Arjuna now went towards the cows and he freed the cows by killing that 1/4 of the army which was guarding them. And then he attacked Duryodhana. Duryodhana tried to run away, but Arjuna taunted him, saying, what? This is for what you had done all this, that you had to one day run away from the battlefield. Duryodhana, I may hate you, but you are still my cousin brother. We belong to the same dynasty. Please don't bring shame on the dynasty and the bloodline. Fight. So Duryodhana returns to fight, and all the Kurus get together to attack Arjuna this time. Karna, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Ashwathama, Balika, all of them together come and fight Arjuna. Now Arjuna realizes this war like this will go on for days. It's not going to end soon. So he immediately calls upon his celestial weapons, the Astra of Sammohanam, with which he makes all the warriors on the battlefield sleep. Think of it as chemical warfare of that era. He makes them all sleep. And then he tells Prince Bhuminjay, your sister wanted the upper cloth of all these warriors. Go and collect them and come back. But don't go near Bhishma. Bhishma knows how to cut the Sammohana, and if he is even half awake, he will kill you. Sutra quickly runs, collects all these garments and comes running back, and along with the cows, Uttara and Brihannala return back to the kingdom. On the way, Arjuna tells Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar that when we go back, don't say that I am Arjuna or I fought for you. There is an auspicious day 3 days after today. And on that day, maybe we will all like to reveal ourselves, as our elder brother has told. So for now, don't say anything about this. Let people think that you only won this war. Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar may have, shown some cowardice, but he is not a liar. And he tells Brihannala that no, I will tell them that it was a celestial being who came and helped us, Arjuna, but I am not going to lie. They are going into the kingdom. Out there on the battlefield, news reaches King Virata that the Kauravas have attacked and Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar has gone all alone to fight them. And he's immediately dismayed and scared. He calls upon his warriors and says, okay, all those of you who are not tired, please immediately strap up your weapons, get on your chariot and go to the warfield to help Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar. Kanka asks, who has gone as the charioteer of Bhuminjay? And the messengers say that it is Brihannala. So Kanka tells Virata, do not be scared, king. As long as Brihannala is driving the chariot of Bhuminjay, no harm will come to him. So Virata is like, oh, really? He's that good a charioteer. I didn't know that. Fine. But still, I think we need to send some more people to help. When suddenly another messenger comes running in and says, Prince Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar has defeated all the Kurus single-handedly. He has rescued all the cows and he is coming back triumphant into the city. And Virata is like, yeah, my son did it. And Kanka is like, king, I told you, as long as Brihannala is with Prince Bhuminjay, nothing will happen to him. And Virata gets very angry. See, Kanka and Virata at that time had been playing dice to pass away the time when all this message came. And Virata, in anger, he takes the dice and he throws it at Kanka. It hits Kanka on his nose and he starts bleeding. Immediately, Sairandhari comes there and she holds a cup under Kanka's nose. And Virata is like, "What are you doing?" And she says, "King, if even one drop of blood from his nose falls to the ground, your kingdom will be without prosperity, without water, without sunshine, struck by famine and drought for 12 more years. Beg his forgiveness right now." And Virata understands he should not have done it. He takes the forgiveness of Kanka. And at that time, the news comes that Bhuminjay Uttar Kumar has reached the place. And Virata rushes to meet his son and says, "Son, tell me, how did you win this battle?" And Prince Bhuminjay says, "Father, the credit belongs to a person who came and helped me to win today, not to me. And he has said he will reveal himself after 3 days." So Virata feels, okay, if let it be so. 3 days pass. 3 days pass, and Virata enters his palace, and he is surprised that on the seat of the king is sitting Kanka. To his right side is sitting Vallava. To his left side is sitting Brihannala. And Tantripala and Dharmagranthi are standing on the two sides, and Sairandhari is also sitting close to the king. And Virata is like, "I know that all of you are respectable people, but is it proper that you sit on the seats reserved for royal people?" And Brihannala comes forward and says, "King, I am Arjuna. And this is Yudhishthira, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, and Draupadi. For the last 1 year, we have been hiding in your kingdom, and you have been a good host to us." And Uttar Kumar comes forward and says, "Father, it was Arjuna who fought the Kauravas and won the war for us and not me." And Virata falls at Yudhishthira's feet and says, "I'm really sorry if ever I have behaved in a bad way towards you. Please forgive me. But today I tell you that the kingdom of Matsya, Virata, and his entire army is at the command of King Yudhishthira." And Yudhishthira embraces Virata. And Virata says that I have one more request. I would like Arjuna to marry Princess Uttara. But Arjuna steps forward and says, "No, king. Uttara has been like my daughter because she was my student. And if at this moment I agree to marry her, after having spent 1 year alone with her in the privacy of a room, people will talk unnecessarily. But I accept her as my daughter in law for my son Abhimanyu." So the marriage is announced. And near the kingdom of Matsya, there is a tiny town called Upaplavya. In this town, the Pandavas are going to hold the marriage of Abhimanyu and Princess Uttara, and all the kings from all the directions start coming in here. Krishna, Satyaki, Pradyumna, Sambha, Kritavarma, all of them come from Dwaraka. Chekitana, Drishtaketu, Sahadeva of Magadha, and then you have Drupada. Everyone starts coming in, Kashi Raja, Shaivya, and all of them come not just for the marriage ceremony, they come with their armies because they know once this marriage is over, it is the Kurukshetra and it is war. And that brings us to the end of the Virata Parvan of the Mahabharata. Jaya. So if there are any questions, we can quickly take it up. There is a comment section in which I think you can type out your queries if you have any.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Sirs Play Margary premieres at 9 p.m. on our YouTube channel. For more events, you can visit jairangam.org. Thank you.